Hello and welcome to the second chess analysis game thing that I have going on. I know it's been there's a huge gap since the first one, but what matters is we finally ended up doing another one. So the ball is still rolling here. Okay, so this is actually a pretty interesting one. Very interesting. Got a lot of juice behind it. So this is from one of my online games, just 10 minutes rapid, that's what I play mostly. And I'm playing black here against Free Up 03. You can see our ratings over there, 1700. Alright, so let's get started. This here, move 24, is where it begins. This is the critical position. Right now it's about equal, it's more in my favor. It's about negative 0.9, the engine says. And here I had the idea of doubling my rooks, just like that. Right, so that's exactly what I did. Just move the rook up, and then knight goes to attack the rook, and I'm like, ha ha ha, I wanted to move here anyway, so this is pointless. Boom. And then I realized at this moment that I just left my pawn hanging. So, I freaked out here. He, of course, took the pawn. So, after this, I just played this move. I don't really know. I can't even really remember what the purpose of it was. I was just probably just not playing seriously anymore. Because, like, this is already really bad. And the computer says it's plus 1.5 or around 2-ish. So, it's already very bad for me. But it turns out, actually, that taking the pawn is really bad. The eval here is around -6 or -7. So I had something here. I had something here. And oh boy, it is really good. It is really good. So I don't know. I'll give like you can pause over here to figure out what I had that made this position a -6, -7. Alright, so, okay, I'll give the answer now, and prepare yourself for this, okay? It starts with rook takes, and obviously we're gonna have knight takes, right? You don't want to take with the queen, because you'll just lose it, so knight takes. And then what do you do? What's the point of trading rooks? Well, you leave the knight over here, where it is, well, not defended that well, it's defended by the queen only, so we can just simply distract the queen. And once the queen is distracted, we get the knight. We get the knight. So is that it? Is that why the move is good? Well, no, let's check back for a second. Let's rewind. So what does this trade do? Did we gain something with this sequence of trades? Well, let's take a look. So nope, that's the wrong move. So I win a rook. He wins it back. I lose a minor piece, and then I gain a minor piece back again. So that's an equal trade. That series of trades is equal. We neither lost nor gained material. So what's the point? Well, the point is to position the king over here in this diagonal. And if you can imagine, if we could place our queen over here, then that would be a fork. Problem is, there's a rook in the way. So what do? You just chase the rook away. Queen d7. Okay, rook can't stay on any of these squares, it just basically has to retreat. Right, it just basically has to retreat. Let's see over here. And then now you can do this. And then now you can do this. And this is a fork. And then you just simply win the knight. You're up a piece now. That's That's the idea. Really, really cool. So let's analyze a bit more, shall we? Let's analyze a bit more, shall we? Let's say after takes and bishop here, white sees all of this. Okay, so what they're gonna do is they're just gonna be like, okay, you're trying to distract my queen, you have this idea of chasing the rook away and then the fork, so I'm not gonna play along, I'm just going to put the queen here. Obviously, this is the only square for the queen, because if the queen moves anywhere else, then the rook just takes knight, right? You can't go here because the bishop still protects that square. You can't go here, of course, because rook just takes that. So the only queen move that protects the knight, which is also safe for the queen itself, is over here. This is the only way that the queen can escape while simultaneously protecting the knight. So this is forced, right? So okay, what do we do now? Same idea. Queen here, chase the rook away. Rook has to move, let's say over here. And then queen here. This time, it's still a fork, but this time we're forking this guy and this guy. Right? Remember, we have a battery here, so there's 2 attackers on the knight, while there's only 1 defender. And the rook can't go all the way back, right? We said that the rook retreats. Well, why don't we retreat all the way back so that it double protects the knight along with the queen? You can't, because bishop protects that square. So rook has to retreat, but it can't retreat all the way back. That leaves this with just a single defender. Queen just hops in over here. Fork. You win a minor piece again. So even if you decide to ignore this bishop, you still end up losing a minor piece. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So let's go even further back, and let's say white in this position saw all of that. He saw that rook takes pawn is a blunder. So he might try a different idea. He might think, well, okay, why don't I trade rooks first and then play rook takes? Still doesn't work. Still does not work. What idea do we have now? Well, the eval here is not like -6, -7 like before. It's -1, -2-ish. And the move that we have is queen a8. It's not really a fork because knight's defended, right? So we're only really attacking the rook. So just defend the rook, queen here. So what do you do now? Well, there's this threat over here, which just threatens to win our queen. So solution is simple, just block it. Just block it so that this is no longer a fork. This is the only move. This is the only move. Anything else fails. Okay, so now what? How does white continue? Well, I don't really know how to answer that actually, but the computer can. The computer suggests h4 as one of them. And I guess the idea is to just start an attack or something like that. But this does not work, unfortunately. So, how does black continue? Well, we have to notice that this knight here is pretty loose. It's only defended by the rook. If we can, get rid of the rook, shoo the rook away, then we get a free knight. So with that in mind, let's try bishop e8, attack the rook. So if the rook wants to protect the knight, it has to stay along this row over here, this rank. It has to stay along the 6th rank. There's 4 spaces, And this one is a no-go, this one is a no-go because of the knight, because of the rook. And where it's currently at is also a no-go, so that leaves one spot remaining. Now, here's the thing. Remember bishop f8. The purpose of that move was in order to just prevent the fork. But, so let's play the same lines again. Here, 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 here. But bishop f8 also has a secondary idea. Look at where the bishop is. Look at where the rook is. So the bishop here, in addition to preventing, the fork from happening, it also x-rays d6, which is an important escape square for the rook, right? It's the only escape square for the rook. But lo and behold, the bishop x-rays that square. So what we can do, for example, is just move the rook away, and that will attack white's rook. So we can, for example, move the rook all the way over here, and now we have this being under attack and this being under attack. Two pieces of white being under attack at the same time. White's going to lose a piece that's unavoidable. So, is white just screwed here? No. White can just move the rook up here. What's the idea there? Well, the idea is if you take my knight, I'll take your knight. Because the queen's defending it. If the queen moves and takes this knight, it'll leave this knight undefended. So the question now is, do we go for it? Do we allow this to happen? So let's just imagine this position over here. Do we want this? Is this good for black? Because remember, we're down a pawn here, right? Material's equal. The major and minor pieces are equal. But the pawns, remember, at the very start of the position, white has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're down a pawn. Because at the very start, remember, rook takes somewhere. I think here. Yeah, rook takes here. I in quotation mark, blundered a pawn. So we're down material here. So just think about this for a minute. Do we actually want this? Now, what are the perks of this position? Well, we have the bishop here, and our rook here can actually just infiltrate the second rank over there, skewering the queen and the bishop. Now, that doesn't win us a piece, because queen can just drop back there. But then, after the rook invades, now the queen can also invade. And it looks like we're just going to win back this pawn, doesn't it? How are you going to defend this pawn? Is there a way to do that? No, I don't. There's just really no way to defend that pawn. There really isn't. And so we win the pawn back. And we also have a huge attack and initiative going on. So, yeah, why not? We can also even play bishop f7 to just add more pressure there if need to. But you might be thinking, well, hang on a sec, just rook takes pawn over here. So that we're still down the pawn. Okay. Well, but just look at this. Just look at this. This is under attack next. And we have a pass pawn. That's looking pretty dangerous. It's dangerously close to promotion. So this is quite good for black. Quite good for black, despite being down the pawn. And if we turn on the engine, that's going to confirm this. Negative 3.3. Negative 3.3. So yeah. We don't even need to capture this. It in fact turns it into a draw. For some reason, wow, okay. So, well, it is quite complicated still. Like, taking this pawn is what I would have done, but apparently that leads to a draw. I'm not going to explore why that is. I think I've done enough analysis for now. Jesus. But yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting. So, let's look at another option that white has in this position. So this is what the engine recommends. The engine also recommends knight here. So this is just, it just gets rid of white's problem, right? The knight has always been white's problem. We were forking it earlier with the queen, and we were also exploiting the fact that the knight here was poorly defended, just attacking the rook so that the knight is left undefended, and then we just win the knight. So there are those ideas. You move the knight away, now there's none of those ideas. Cool. So the knight is defended twice, so we can't capture it because we're only attacking it twice. And this is also under attack. What do you do? What do you do? The only move here, I think, if I remember the engine analysis correctly, is sack. Sack. Just sack. And where does the queen go? Where does the queen go? Well, the queen's not trapped, obviously. It can go for here, for example. So, what did you gain here? You didn't really gain anything. You in fact, you even lost, because you sacked the queen, and you got in return a rook and a knight. That's 8 points in material. A queen is worth 10. So, what now? What now? Well, you can argue that our pieces are more active. We also have the bishop pair, but that's actually not enough. You can squeeze more out of this. Notice that the bishop here is trash, right? If we attack it, it's forced to go to the very back rank because it's being controlled. Its front side is being controlled. It can't go to the front, it can't advance. So if we attack it, the only choice it has is to go back. But if it goes back, then it'll be in line with the king as well. So, rook here. Forced. Bam. Fork. So, not only did you win a rook and a minor piece, right, over here at the very start, not only did you win a rook and a minor piece by sacrificing the queen, but if you look further ahead, you also win a second minor piece. The queen sacrifice is now starting to make more sense, and this is just super good for black. Super good. And I think that should be it. We've covered basically most aspects regarding this position over here. This pawn blunder, which actually turned out to be not a blunder at all. So yeah, it's really interesting. I had a bunch of fun analyzing this really cool position, and that's what I wanted to share, and hopefully I did well in sharing that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.